Lave radio. It's even louder than me. Hey, wait a minute. That can't be right.
Want to tour the frontier? Travel with Mack Winston and our new fleet of passenger starliners. We've opened up the universe for a range of budgets. Option 1. Luxury.
My husband and I like to travel in comfort. The new luxury cabins were like a home away from home. After all, one's home is a castle.
Option 2. First class.
We'd saved up a bit for a really special trip. The first class cabins were like nothing we've travelled in before. Really luxurious.
Option 3. Travel cabin.
We want a trip with Cormac Reeves' monthly lotto. A travel cabin for two on a starliner around the solar system. Once in a lifetime for us, simply amazing.
Option 4, basic accommodation.
Me and my mates just wanted to hitch around the universe. It's so great that we have the option of getting a really cheap cabin to see the sights. It saved us loads.
And for the budget conscious and slaves, we have our cheapest option yet.
Well, I needed a...
And we won't sell any of those frozen passengers into slavery, I promise. Colmac Reeves all budget tours, seeing the galaxy from luxury to freezing tubes.
Space can be lonely, but sometimes that's just what you want. Choose your holiday, the gas giants of Alioth, partying the night away in Yorkville on Aquada, or even go back and find your ancestors on Earth. The Rockforth Corporation makes your holiday special, and will let nothing disturb you.
Galnet News Digest, 9th of November 3307. We read the news, so you don't have to.
In this week's news, opposing salvation.
Better FSD bonus boosts brewer bridge building.
Watching the Thargoids.
PDB grows popular as two terrorist plots foiled.
Opposing salvation. The news that Admiral Tanner has defied his organisation Aegis and is now threatening Taurus Mining Ventures to try and get information about Aegis rival Salvation has been met with mixed reactions from commanders. While some welcome Tanner's apparent departure from the theoretically belligerent Aegis, others are wary of his motives and are concerned that if he's able to get the experimental weapon details from Salvation, he'll bring it obediently back to Aegis. While many commanders have supported Salvation and are keen to see what he can do to save humanity, there's also an upswelling of concern that Salvation's experimental weapon, that was used to such devastating effect in the Cornsar system, may serve to escalate the conflict further, and bring about a more decisive and devastating Thargoid invasion of the bubble. Some, like the Allied Order of Exemplars of the California Nebula, are hopeful that there may be a way for commanders effectively to show their support for peace between Thargoids and humanity in a meaningful way, and have called for no-fire systems. Whatever the opinion, there's a broad consensus that commanders should be able to have a say in whether we want peace or war with the Thargoids, about whether Salvation should be prevented from using his experimental weapon, and about whether Salvation or Aegis is better placed to represent humanity in those difficult decisions about the terms of peaceful coexistence with the Thargoids, or, alternatively, to annihilate or be annihilated. There is currently a standoff in the T-Tauri system between Tanner's megaship Musashi and Taurus Mining Ventures' asteroid base, Hind Mine. The next chapter in the story may not be long in coming.
Better FSD bonus boosts Brewer bridge building. Brewer Corporation is reported to be delighted after all the construction materials needed for Phase 2 of the Colonia Bridge Initiative were delivered within 52 hours of the appeal starting. And it only took that long because of a shortage of materials in Colonia. The top 75% of commanders at both ends, Alcor in the Bubble and Colonia, have been promised size 3, 4 and 6 fully engineered frameshift drives as a reward for their help. It seems likely that this offer motivated many of the participants, although there was also competition for the top 10 places, as those commanders will be given the chance to name one of the static megaships that'll make up the bridge. The FSDs earned as rewards are expected to be put into storage for collection on Friday or Saturday. Commanders are reminded to take them to Felicity Farseer or Elvira Martouk to fit the Deep Charge Experimental Modification to the size 3 and 4 modules and Mass Manager to the size 5 module for the very best performance possible. Because of the rapid completion of both appeals, many commanders were unable to participate. However, equivalent size 5 frameshift drives are already available from technology brokers, so there's some hope that the new sizes will also in due course be offered for sale.
Watching the Thargoids. The latest Thargoid incursions have proven harder to shift than expected. 9 systems in the Pleiades and the Witchhead Nebula are currently suffering incursions. After 12 days, the Thargoids in Asterope have virtually been wiped out, and work has started on Pleiades sector PD-S B4-0, which now has a significant Thargoid presence. All the other systems continue to have a massive Thargoid presence. And there are now 4 volumes of space with non-human signal sources, more than we've had for a long time. The Pleiades Nebula has a 175 light-year bubble of NHSSs centred around Merope. The Witchhead Nebula has a 75 light-year bubble around Witchhead sector IR-W C1-9. The Coalsack Nebula has a 60 light-year sphere around Muscadart region PJ-P B6-1, and the California Nebula has a 100 light-year bubble around HIP 18390. If you want to see the current state of Thargoid incursions, head over to the new AXI site, www.thargoid.watch.
PDB grows popular as 2 terrorist plots foiled. The news this week that the majority of the Theta group of NMLA terrorists have been arrested comes on the heels of news last week that thousands of members of Jupiter's Wrath have also been arrested. Both sets of arrests have in common the use of intercepted communications as a means of detection. Vice President Jerome Archer's establishment of the Proactive Detection Bureau seems finally to have paid off, and the talk of government interference in private affairs is getting drowned out by the satisfaction of citizens who are comfortable that they're not about to be bombed by the NMLA or subjected to a coup attempt by corporatist paramilitary groups. The Republican government has weathered the storm, and talk of succession is largely in the past. The Federation may soon start a charm offensive to bring recently departed factions back into the federal fold. The time of uncertainty is over. We shall have peace in our time.
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News. We read the news so you don't have to. Better FSD bonus boosts Brewer Bridge building. Better FSD bonus boosts Better FSD bonus boosts better FSD bonus boosts Brewer Bridge building.
Lave Radio, transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
I think that was the jingle, Colin.
Yeah. Oh, I heard something wrong. We're going to have to edit this. Do apologise, everybody. We've had a lot of technical problems this morning. Thank you. This evening, thanks to Windows 11. But greetings, Commander, and welcome to episode 366 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix to Fire, otherwise known as Colin Ford, Chief Archivist of Lave Station. And joining me in the always find wind bar, we have our Head of Health and Safety, Commander Aid Levice, but he's otherwise known as Ben Moss-Woodward.
It's lovely to hear your sultry tones, Colin.
Thank you. And we also have our Inhuman Resources Director, Commander Shan.
Hello. Actually, sorry, Colin. Just for you, I think we don't need to say Ben Moss Woodward or Commander Aid Device. We just need to say it's the Ben, and everyone will know who we mean. It's just the Ben. The Ben.
The Ben.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. It's like saying sort of the Equalizer without Edward Woodward.
I would also argue there are multiple Bens that even I'm aware of. You know, I mean, there's not as many Bens as there are Chris's, but there are a few Bens.
Yeah, but there's only one on Lave Radio who matters, and that's the Ben. So
I think we'll stick with the Ben Moss Woodward. It's got a nice flow to it. Just the amount.
Careful, Colin. You'll set him off.
Coming out of your mouth.
Unfortunately, our Commander Psykit is not feeling well today, so get well soon. But in order to make up for the lack of a Commander Psykit, we do have our friend Mack Winston joining us for today.
Hello.
Hello. It's a pleasure
By
to
the way,
hear
if you say the Ben over here, people think where I live, people think you mean the Ben McCree, which is a ship.
You could say the Bend over there.
Isn't there a notorious turn in the TT races which is called the Ben?
No.
No. Okay. I'm obviously getting my racetracks mixed up. But to tell you the truth, maybe there should be.
Just win the Isle of Man TT a few times, Colin, then I'm sure they'll let you name a corner.
Well, I don't want to die in the TT. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but then the bit where you went squish, we could then name it the Ben. So it's win-win, really.
Moving on. If you wish, you can join us live. We're actually hanging out in game. Those of you who are following the other bits, you'll see somebody running around at Lave Station. So go enjoy Lave Station. Right. If you can't get to us in game, you can also join us in the Twitch chat channel, which you can access through laveradio.com/live. Click on the live chat. Otherwise, you can go to twitch.tv/laveradio or Lave Radio on YouTube or even Lave Radio on Facebook. So we'll quickly go around the teams, see how they've been for the last week, and we'll start with Ben this week. How have you been?
Yeah, I've been pretty good. Apparently, I've bought a mantelpiece, and apparently it's very heavy. Still haven't got the room painted or the floor laid, but hopefully we will soon, maybe. Might even be done by next weekend, but we'll find that out when I get home, I guess.
So did you mean to buy a mantelpiece? Was it an accidental click in Amazon Buy Me Now or something?
It was a wife says to Ben, could you go and get a backboard so we get just to replace the back piece of the mantelpiece, and then we'll put the old electric fire that we had on that. And I went off and did that, and that was all fine. And then last Saturday, the wife was lying in bed and was like, "Do you like that? It's a right bargain."
Oh, that phrase.
Yes.
It's like it's that horrible moment when IKEA have a sale.
Well, usually
Yeah.
that's usually the line we do for when we're about to embark on degree level man math, isn't it? It's a
Is
real
it?
bargain. Yeah, if
Okay.
it's a real
Okay.
bargain, if you offset the cost of this bargain against the ongoing maintenance cost of what we already
Of
have,
the marriage. Oh.
then it actually works out to be considerably cheaper in the long term than that. So if you let us buy it now, then well, yes, and of course, if you buy the new Intel processor, the 12th generation, then it's future proof, and therefore I will get more value out of it than buying a previous generation Ryzen, etc., etc.
Actually, I'm very surprised because my old work laptop blew up on me relatively recently, and it got swapped out by the company, and that was all fine. And I never thought my old laptop was slow. It was a fairly decent i7 with 32 gig of RAM. It was a fairly decent business laptop. But my new one is a new Dell with with the 11 series of CPU in it, and instead of our part of the application taking 16 to 18 minutes to build, now it takes about 8. And I my jaw hit the floor because I really didn't realize that the 11 series of Intel were that much better than the i7s.
So you can use it as a room heater as well, then, can you?
Oh, the fan comes on a lot more. You're right there.
Is it heavier laptop? Did they?
No, it's not a lot heavier actually. It's a lot. It's thinner, which is why I think the fan comes on. It's a little bit bigger. Um, it's got a chuffing massive trackpad in it, but it doesn't have any buttons in it. And it doesn't have any USB A slots. Everything's USB C. So of course, the very first thing I had to go off and do was buy a dock so I could plug my mouse in. Oh, and it doesn't have an Ethernet port either.
Oh, does it all expect to be running off Wi-Fi?
It's Wi-Fi. It does. Work gave me a at-home dock kind of thing.
Oh,
So
one of those.
it's on my desk at home, and that's all fine. But it's not. But I also wanted something which I could plug into it to plug in an Ethernet cable, HDMI out, and a couple of USB A slots that was portable.
So have they completely locked it down? Can you put like NVIDIA streaming platform on it? And
It's not that I have actually. It's about the second or third thing I went off and did was actually install OBS, because I needed it for work. We're doing some recording things at work, and I was like, well, OBS is like, I'll use OBS because it's good. So it was like about the fourth or fifth thing I actually went off and installed, so we could go off and do that. On the other hand, I am unable to go to Twitch.com on my new laptop. I can go to YouTube, but not Twitch.
have they blocked it then?
I get some kind of blocky thing.
So you can't install a VPN. What can you go through a VPN?
Yes, my VPN is weird. I've installed my VPN, and my VPN says you're on your VPN, and it's still we're using Cisco Umbrella, I think it is. And that basically turns around and says, nope, work says you're not allowed to go there. And I'm like, but I'm on a VPN, you bastards. And they're like, we don't care. You still can't go there. And I haven't faffed around too much because I don't really want I don't really want to use it for very naughty things, but if I can view Lave radios, I can monitor the stream on YouTube just as easily as I can on Twitch.
Lovely.
Yeah, so it's all
Right.
good. It works.
Okay, Shan, what about you?
This week in game, I did a quick detour because, as people may remember, or probably not, I was on my way back to Colonia from Explorers Anchorage,
Oh, right.
and I'd got to nearly 2 or 3 Kylies away from Colonia, and I decided to turn right and head back towards the core. So it'll be a while longer, but I just kind of fancied a bit of sightseeing before I return back. So that's what I've been doing in game. Out of game, Mrs. Shan is in my bad books this week.
Okay. You
Um,
didn't buy a mantelpiece as well, did you?
no, worse than that. And people think
She
I'm
scratched the Tesla.
no, not quite as bad as that. But
All right.
we're both sitting in the conservatory, and we heard this buzzing sound, and there was a wasp that had managed to find its way from somewhere into the conservatory. So I said, keep the cat away from it. I'm going to go and get some spray or something to get it with.
Right.
I then come back and found she enticed the wasp down from the window, from the top window, down to within reach of the cat, hoping the cat would kill the wasp. But our cat is such a gentle little thing, it decided to give it a gentle tap and say hello and play with it.
Mhm.
30 seconds later, it does what wasps do and had stung our cat to the commentary, "Oh, the wasp stung the cat," from Mrs. Shan. So she deliberately poisoned my cat by setting a
So,
wasp on it.
so I'm assuming cats are not like dogs, where a dog can get stung by a wasp and just not give a shit. I assuming your cat did.
Oh, it jumped out of the way and it kept licking its paw for the next hour or so. Fortunately,
Oh,
yeah, it was really upset, poor thing.
poor
Um,
test subject.
yeah, fortunately, the cat didn't have an allergic reaction to wasp stings, but they are a bit like people and they can have fairly serious consequences if they get
Okay.
really got. But yeah, it was like, you let my cat get stung. And not only did she stand and watch the cat get stung, she videoed it as well and put it on
TikTok.
Facebook.
Oh no, Facebook, not TikTok. Of course, that's too
Yeah,
young.
TikTok's too of the kids.
So well, she just shared it around the family, and she belongs to this Bengal cat Facebook group where they kind of share pictures and stuff. So I did ask, did you post it on there? And she goes, no, I didn't want people to think I'm a bad cat owner. And I thought, what? So
Oh
I was
dear.
very sorry for my poor cat getting stung by a wasp. I mean, it's only doing what wasps do, and you say, I didn't know what it was going to do. Well, from a wasp, its whole existence in life is to sting things and annoy.
I mean, I have to admit, I mean, we are all well aware of your backstory and things like that, Shan. But this explains possibly how your wife has managed to cope being married to you. She is just like you, in fact.
Well, no, she's always a kind-hearted soul. She even cries and waters it down, and it's kind of. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. Just, oh, it's got stung. Do you think it hurts? Oh, for goodness sake, it's mowing and licking its paw.
Yeah, if it were a human, it would be, yeah, what you done to me, you aye.
Well, yeah, and it's not a vicious cat at all. It doesn't scratch or bite or anything. Of course, it's just going to go and tap and say hello to the wasp, and the wasp goes.
Wasp with the usual waspy self.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to go out Thargoid hunting now just to get it back. Anyway, that was my week.
Poor kitty cats.
He's all right now. He's stopped
Yeah.
licking his paw after a couple of hours. But we did get some ice cubes and put them in a plastic bag and then wrap the ice cubes around its paw just to kind of keep the swelling down.
Is ice meant to help when you get stung? I don't actually know what happens.
No, the cat did not sigh and file it under yet another test. It was not an authorized test.
It was an unauthorized test.
So yeah, the wife's now banned from touching the cat.
Poor kitty cat.
Have we stunned Colin into silence?
I think
Or
we
has
have.
or has he gone on mute?
Oh, I think we might have lost Colin, actually. We might have lost Colin. Oh, well,
Has he gone
Matt,
on mute?
He's he's
No,
gone. He's
no,
gone.
it's
Oh, he's just come back.
Virgin Media is striking again.
That, yeah. Apparently, there's been a bit of a problem with the internet in general today. There's been lots of things that have gone down and not been
Yeah, Discord was
running
playing
right.
up earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll stick with this as long as I can. Goodness knows. So last I heard, we had a stung pussy. So I do.
You determined to set Ben off, aren't you?
What?
Or
I
set
don't know
the
what you
Ben
mean.
off. Set the Ben off.
I'm not setting it. I'm not setting any Ben off. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because then Bess will go. Ben will go. Oh, so was your pussy swollen? Is what he'll say next, and then. Yeah, it is poor Archer. That is entrapment.
Again, wow.
Right. Mac, well, nice for you to drop in at the last moment. I
Yes.
apologize for interrupting your hardware maintenance routines. How have you been?
Pretty good, really. I've, as I said, with the update 8, things have finally become pretty playable for me on my GTX 980, which incidentally, that's what the hardware mains. I've got a new graphics card, so it turned up a day early, so I shall be replacing that later. But so I've been going down to doing some on foot stuff, which really I haven't done much since around the alpha. So I've done a few because we've had, as always, the East India Company's at war with somebody. I mean, it wouldn't be right if we weren't involved in at least 2 or 3 wars at the same time. So I found the high intensity kind of, you don't really need, unlike the high intensity space one where you really need an engineered ship to do well, you can actually do it with just the stuff you buy, so long as you buy G3 stuff from Pioneer Supplies. So I did some high intensity conflict zones, which were quite good fun, reasonably profitable, and boosted my on foot rank quite nicely. Although there's a way to go, and it's not like I'm sort of anywhere near elite or anything like that. And also, I found the joys of doing those missions where you've got to steal something, and they send a bunch of from a wreck, and then they send a bunch of people down to stop you, but it's all out in the open. So you jump in your SRV and then you go and run them over. It's brilliant. it's
Doesn't your SRV take a lot of damage though?
Oh yeah, but I've got synthesis. I can just repair. So I just the funny thing is, and the trouble is they're kind of sports. They dive out of the way, so you have to anticipate their dives. But if you hit the bad guys solidly, you can punt them like 400 meters. They go absolutely flying, making incredible noise.
NPC Skittles.
Yes, basically. So I've been sort of my inner Shan has come out basically.
Excellent. Just ask you a quick question, Max. Sorry. Have you ever managed to repair an SRV mid drop? If you see what I mean. So you fall off a cliff. Have you ever managed to repair it before it hits the bottom?
If the drop's big enough, I mean, we've done this on expeditions. We've tried canyon jumping, and like halfway down, you realise you're not going to make the other side. So you do a premium repair and hope the SRV doesn't blow up when you hit the bottom.
How come I've got images of Homer Simpson at that right moment in time?
But, yeah, and I've also done. I found the covert assassination missions because they have a much one thing noticeable about the on foot content is there's a much higher chance of failure than space based stuff. You basically can't fail. It's very difficult to fail. The on foot stuff, it's and there are some of them that are actually quite easy to fail, especially the. I've had 1 or 2 of the covert assassination ones where the Benny Hill music has started and I've been running with a dozen angry men shooting at me, which usually ends up waking up later in a prison cell somewhere. But you get all on the edge. You're sneaking around this base, and you have to do it quite slowly and carefully. And you're sort of peeking around corners and what have you. It's quite good fun. I've quite enjoyed those missions.
I find the stealth ones easiest to phase. to fail.
Yeah.
There's not seems to be an indicator that shows how stealthy you are.
Yeah,
If you see what I mean.
it's mainly it's how not to be seen is a lot of it. So you try and find lobes because the trouble is sometimes they're easy when your target is like a member of security and they're outdoors. Then you sort of wander around the base quietly, and you don't really care if you get scanned because you're not doing anything bad yet. You find your target and you sort of just nonchalantly walk up behind them and say, "Ah, hi mate, the East India Company sends you its regards," and then zap them with your suit charger, and they go, "Ah." And I've had some great dialogue out of these guys. So I've had them when they've turned around in an inopportune moment, and they go like, "Hey, put that away!" Ah! When they see your suit chargers sort of half charged, it's a bit too late. They yell at you, and they sort of expire in front of you. So
One of the best stealth weapons I've ever played in a game. Do you remember the dart gun from Deus Ex?
Oh yeah, those basically you shot, hid, and waited for them to fall over, and then loot the body.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a little while to get the hang of that one. Incidentally, Mac, have you ever come across one of these assassination missions where you go deal with the assailant, then you make your escape on a ship, and then people come after your ship in other ships?
I haven't had that happen to me yet.
Because
But
I'm trying to find someone who's had that happen to them, and I haven't come across anyone yet.
And one of the missions I was slow is that those ones where you've got to exterminate an entire enemy settlement. And I sort of wonder, I do it with the suit charger thing.
Uh-huh.
I just go around sort of quietly bumping off the targets until enough of them are gone. Because eventually somebody will see you and then all hell will break loose. But if you can get rid of half of them with your suit charger before then because once they start like Zerg rushing you, it can be quite difficult to survive. I've sort of ended up hiding in a corner with my virtually out of energy with no shields left, and you can hear them sort of walking around, and you realize you're about to, this is it, you're about to die. It's a horrible feeling, really, but then again,
That's the Among Us version of Elite
Yes.
Dangerous, isn't it? No,
But
it
you can
wasn't
hear their
me.
footsteps. You can hear their footsteps, and you hear things like, "Did you just hear something?" You hear them talking, and you can hear them getting closer and closer. And then anyway, then you because you're virtually on emergency oxygen or whatever. You're inside, but you're down to like 2% suit power, so you can't put your shields on, and it's like.
I must admit, when you begin to run out of oxygen, the sound of your choking commander is quite disturbing.
Yes.
Right, let's have a think. What have I been up to this week? Let's see. I've been selling a lot of my old X-Wing miniatures stuff because I've realised it's all the previous version and it's just taking up space. And then I found out my other favourite board game, Star Wars Armada, they're not making it anymore. So that's a dead game. In the wonderful world of Elite Dangerous, I've gone a bit like I did last week. I went a bit power play mental, trying to help the Emperor get back up the power play rankings, but without any luck whatsoever. Trying my best, but not helping out that much. And of course, I've been down in the play. My other commander down in the Pleiades, fighting off Thargoids. I am determined to solo at least one of them in my Crate Mark II. I'm determined to. I don't care how many times I lose, I'm going to get one. And of course, my other commander is on the way to Colonia, and I think it was quite ironic because I ended the stream with 20 jumps to go to the Eagle Nebula. However, on jump 19, I came across 3 planets, one with 5 biologicals on it, one with 4 biologicals on it, and one with 3 biologicals on it. So I've kind of slowed my progress down quite a lot just by running around and scanning and having a good time doing it.
See, I'd have looked for a planet with 2 and then a 1 biological on it just to get the set.
You're trying to get straight, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't bother with ones because it's always biologicals and it's always bacterium, and they're they're normally grey bacterium on a white planet. What chance have you got?
Oh, I don't look for them on white planets. I just go for a coloured one, then you can see the cowpats better.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked it if when you're driving around those planets and you see these little wind eddies. I just kept on thinking that that would have been a good signal for an oxygen reaction coming from the bacteria, so it might have been easier to spot. But just turns out they're just random phenomenon.
Somehow, I always kind of think they should be like a nano swarm, or something like that. That starts eating your ship, or eating your SRV when you drive through it.
You mean like the Liberator did in Blake 7?
Oh, now who's feeling old? But yeah, something like that. Just kind of a hazard that they kind of lure you in. Then when you ride your SR3 through it, it starts to melt or something. Just
Oh,
kind of.
spoiler alert for Blake 7. Sorry about that. It's only 40 years old, or is it 50 now? No, it's 40. Because that means it would have been older than me, but never mind.
It's a cool effect, though.
It is, yeah. Maybe they might. Oh, please, Frontier, don't listen to him because they might put it in.
What, the eating your SRV? I think that'd be brilliant.
What, going through bacteria and then bacteria goes, I like munching SRVs, me.
It'll be more.
Are we talking
go
about?
for a load of nanites or something, but yeah.
Are we talking about that episode where the Liberator sort of blew up and Zen you see Zen, the computer at the end with all the slime on it, and his screen blows up and
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. It was the
that
it's the one
really
they should have
disturbed
ended
me
on.
as a child. That episode.
I know
that's
it's
the
the
one they
worst
should have ended
decision
on.
they ever did. It's kind of like, oh, bloody hell.
No, sorry, season 4 was the worst. But anyway, enough of old man.
Well, I just think
70s
it would be. I
sci-fi
just
talk.
think it would be cool because there are bacteria that eat plastic and other that eat non-organic things now,
Don't
isn't there?
forget the mycoid virus in Elite.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Drive through a cloud, pick up a variant of the mycoid virus, and it starts eating away at space stations and stuff.
Yeah, but the mycoid virus didn't hurt human ships. It only hurt
I said a
Thargoids.
variant. The Delta variant of the mycoid virus.
No. What you need is the Thargoid enzyme, the alteration of the Thargoid enzyme, which does eat through our ships.
Isn't that essentially just corrosive damage that we've got on our engineered weapons?
Actually, I don't know.
We could drive through
Because
it, and you
you
could have the
kind of
same
kill
effect.
off. You kind of kill off the corrosive damage with heat, don't you? If you get your ship hot enough, it kind of implies that there's some kind of something that's destroyed by heat in it.
Yeah, maybe some biological weapon.
Or if you really want to be fun, when you drive through the cloud, you pick up a trumbly or something. A trumbly lava.
Now there you go. That's what they should do when people start earning too much money, is having Trumblies eat all these engineered ships. Good one, well. Or even better, how about Trumblies only eat engineered modules and you can't get them back?
They focus on the power plant, yeah.
Oh dear. Oh, right.
And,
well,
and then they'd have the special salt-eating trumblies, wouldn't they?
Yes. Anyway, let's have a look at the development news. What have the devs said this week? Well, last Thursday's stream, Arf and Sally explored the Thargoid bases, or are they really crashed motherships? Ooh. And they mentioned a couple of things during the stream. The first thing was that Update 9 seems to be scheduled for December. It will also be the last update of the year. Update 10 will be coming in the new year, apparently. We will be seeing fleet carriers, walking around fleet carriers sometime in December. And there seems to be some kind of hints that SRV-based missions that will use the new combat SRV. They also discussed the timescales involved in implementing the suggestions from the engineering debate that we had last week. And that's at least a good couple of months. So that's going to be well into the new year as well. They also said that the engineering is the only thing they were looking at the moment. However, they did say that crime and punishment, they want to do another pass on that, as well as they've also said they'd like to have a look at power play and CQC in the past as well, which Arf actually admitted to again on this stream. So yeah, it was a nice little stream. I got involved for a while until I got told to cook the kids some food instead of actually playing the computer game, which ungrateful children. Jean?
Yeah, well, it's interesting with the Thargoid things. I was reading a article this week, and apparently in the mid '70s, the Pentagon and NATO wargamed what would be the best way to defeat an alien invasion, or or to survive an alien invasion, and they concluded actually the best thing humanity could do if they were invaded by aliens would be to surrender straight away unconditionally, because the rationale was that any race that was significantly older and technologically advanced, we would have nothing that could harm it or hurt it or anything. And if you just annoy them by fighting back, they could kill more of you than what they may do normally. So I was thinking of that regarding the Thargoids, because the Thargoids are at least 1 million years old, aren't they? They are an old race.
Yes.
So if you go by that doctrine, should humanity have just bent down and took it from the Thargoids and just let them do whatever they're going to do?
Well, there's a slight problem with that because, according to the Guardians, it's genocide. So it's all or nothing with the Thargoids. You've obviously got too few limbs, and you're not Thargoid enough, so you're dead.
Well, they reasoned in this war game that if you cooperated, basically if you're a Quisling, you could then stash a few members of the species away, such that they would then live on as a Thrall race or continue to be useful or get away somehow. Basically, the whole thing was to bend down and take it and try and buy time to get the survival of the species. So they clearly didn't listen to this study when they tried to fight back from the Thargoids.
Well, I mean, it's quite an interesting thought, that. I mean, if you just have to look at H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, humanity just was completely lost that one until basically our bugs wiped them out.
Plot device happened.
Oh, I don't know. I think that's a reasonable assumption to happen. You turn up on a alien planet, you have got no immunity to any bugs that are out there whatsoever. Look what's happened with COVID. Imagine COVID that could kill you quickly.
At the risk of getting into biology and things like that, you would need a hell of a lot of similarities between your DNA and the alien bug DNA for it to do anything to you. Most alien food would probably, if it didn't outright poison us, would probably go right through us.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we'll never find out probably in our lifetime.
Miggles did say, and they are correct, because I hadn't quite got onto that part of the study, but the alternative strategy was to basically surrender and then nick their tech and then use their tech to fight back on them. So
effectively XCOM 2 then. Because you start
Yeah.
XCOM 2 as basically humanity is lost. And we're a guerrilla organization who nick all their technology and fight back.
Well, isn't that the premise for virtually every single alien invasion movie there's been?
Unless it's oh my god, Independence Day. In which case, then as long as you've got an iMac and Bluetooth, you'll be
You're
fine.
fine.
Yeah, but we nicked their tech there, didn't we? We nicked their tech, studied it, and then used their tech to fight back and win because we
Yeah, they
found
did because
the
they
Roswell
flew up.
ship.
Yeah, they flew up in the Roswell ship.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out. Is
So,
there any?
if Frontier are listening, the only way for us to defeat Thargoids is to give us Thargoid ships, flyable ones.
Oh dear. D2. Anybody? Anyway, right. So that was Thursday's stream. Obviously on Friday there was a big kerfuffle because there was a new puzzle put out on the forums. This was the hunt for Theta 7, which you could win 750 50 million credits in game. If you manage to decode this message, decode a message that was spread all through Galnet. Now, this took what 50 hours to do. Hello, Shan. What's this about the reward?
Well, I was gonna suggest is the reward isn't really so much the credits because you could quite easily earn that many credits in the time it took to do that. The reward is actually the notoriety of being the first one to decode it.
Mm.
So my question was, if they just said your reward is to have your commander name in game on the beacon and not the credits, would people still have done it?
Oh God, yes. Look how mental people have gone to uh, get their name in the on the tourist beacons at some Earth-like planets, or on the New Colonia Bridge. People seem to be more enthusiastic about getting their name in the game than actually the modules that you get with it.
And my other follow-up question on this is one thing we haven't had from Frontier for a while is they did a similar search, didn't they, early on in the game where they gave away graphics cards. Remember?
I
Oh
don't
yes,
remember
it
that.
was. Yeah, it was early on. You had to do it in open play, and you had to do the whole thing in open play. I can't remember. So you had to move some piece of cargo somewhere to somewhere. You had to find it and then transport it, and hope somebody didn't gank you. Because they do. This is how we know they have a mechanism of tracking that an item has stayed exclusively in open play. Because if you switched to not open at any time, that was it. You'd lost. So we know they can do it.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean
somebody set off the alarms on this settlement, by the way.
That was me. I was jumping when I got targeted for a scan, and I couldn't stop. Obviously.
So do you think though that you should do something again, or would offering a graphics card wipe out their profits for Odyssey?
Oof.
Oh dear. Well, this particular event was won by Commander Theon Signai, who successfully decoded the message by the use of mathematical matrices and Excel. What I liked about this particular code was that everything that you needed was actually in game. The message was in game. The key for solving it was also in game. Special mention has to go to Commander Scott Riggs, who discovered the bogus traffic reports, which allowed these matrices to be created after a hint from Zach. And the codebreaker message actually turned out to be: "Have arrived at Pangel. Weapons remain secure. I no longer trust our benefactors or their network. We will become invisible until the time is right to strike again." Now, it does appear that Theta 7 has gone and hid himself in the Far God cult, which I think that's a really nice overlap in the story. What did you think?
I thought it was great. What I loved the way they described how the Theatre 7 was discovered, because it sounds like it should be voiced by Peter Jones and be an entry in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, doesn't it? It just
It
sounds.
does. It does. You wanted to talk about the method?
Well, yeah, that was basically it, really. I just think it's yeah, I just think it's really clever the way they sort this out. But again, I'd lay down the challenge to Frontier is to actually try and make it a bit harder. It's kind of got a bit, yeah, you almost, if you're not that if you miss it for the first 12 hours, you're pretty much never going to get it, because someone will always be ahead of you in that. And again, memory springs back to the unknown probe signals,
All
how
right.
how that vexed people for months, didn't it?
It did.
What the dots, something as inventive as that, if possible, I think that allows more people to get involved, and rather than just have it solved in a couple of days.
Yeah, the problem was that with that one was that people were complaining that they had to use out of game tools. I mean, they had to use a. You could actually work this out without the Excel or the matrix involved, but you'd have to be very good with your pen and paper. You'd still have to use an
Yeah, I mean,
outside.
Excel was just a stand-in for pen and paper, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's quite impressive. Commander Theron Saigini, or I do apologize for murdering your name. Everyone take a drink. Has now put on the forums that he's willing to donate the 750 million to various charitable organizations around the galaxy, because he was just after trying to track down Theta 7 because yes. So
So how many hours? How many hours have people got to let him transfer 750 million credits?
Ooh, that'd be a lot.
We've already stated it took a lot longer than 12 hours because Little Biggins, right? This took days, not hours to.
It took
resolve.
50 hours for my son, but the clarification was, and perhaps wasn't clear, is that these things tend to be solved so quickly. If you're not on it at the start, if you think, well, I'll give it a go tomorrow, in the race to pursue it, you're already behind. And usually by the
I don't know.
time.
I would disagree there because I think most of the race to pursue it, it's a very open source approach with a lot of people discussing it. So I
Maybe
think
I'm too mean.
so long as you're keeping abreast of the discussion, you're not really losing anything, I think.
Yeah, I think what we need is a virtual James Halliday to set the set the puzzles. What do you reckon? Just wait to see if
I
anybody
also
knows that
yes,
is.
I know what that is, and yes, I don't think we want anything that's going to take as long as that took, especially for something that's probably they want this to be resolved within a week, tops.
Well, it is a challenge, isn't it? Because the one thing is you've got the game designers and you've got the community, and there's an awful lot more people in the community that
Oh,
could
yeah.
just brute force it. And that's been a lot of the problems because a lot of the locations based puzzles, they've had they just had canon brute force it, or someone's got lucky, and that's it. It's game over.
Yep. And let's face it, I mean, if Frontier hadn't given any hints about have a look at the traffic reports,
Yeah.
would people have recognized it? If they hadn't said anything, would we still be looking for it in 2 weeks' time? And I
Well,
think that's a good indication that Frontier wanted it to get solved.
Well, this is the interesting thing because I don't know whether Commander Scott Riggs, was going to look at the traffic reports anyway. All Zach said is that the actual information to find it is still in game, and from that, Commander Riggs was starting to look through basically all the You know, all the statistics that everybody normally ignores on the stations. And then he spotted in one of those places that there was some bogus traffic reports. I mean, that took a lot of out of the box thinking. I wouldn't have thought of looking there.
So doing. Sorry, then.
Go, Sean.
No, I was going to say. So I quite enjoy these treasure hunt things because it all kind of goes back to the golden hair, doesn't it? With the Masquerade book
Yeah.
in the late 70s, and that kind of had the whole country addicted. So I do think perhaps there needs to be a long-term golden hair equivalent that people can just join in and really crowdsource and work at it. Because as you say, Canon just tend to brute force it, and yeah, there needs to be something devious that's Canon proof.
Yeah. I mean, on the subject of Canon, MK Vines in the chat has just said, has anybody at Lave Radio got an opinion about Canon's offer to help the dredger? That's the dredger that's been blocked by the university.
Well, I thought we were waiting for that to become a CG, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, Canon at the moment have offered to effectively buy the dredger off the university and just let the dredger clan, if you like, just carry on as regardless. I mean, I personally, I think they won't let them do this because I think they've got a plan.
Yeah. I think it'd be great if they did, but I can't see them allowing it because, let's face it, they've already essentially taken the gnosis off Canon.
Yeah, but then again, Canon probably have tons and tons of fleet carriers at the moment, don't they?
Oh yeah, but yeah.
Isn't that kind of railroading things though? Because I mean, that's a fantastic suggestion. We talked about this a few weeks ago about having these subversive measures and actions for CGs, and I just love that. Be like, okay, yeah, we'll buy the carrier off you and turn it over to students of Lave Radio Polytechnic or something, and just
Lave Radio, sixth form college.
Oh, thanks for that. Thanks for us for
correction
making us a
facility,
polytechnic.
junior correction facility. Yeah,
Borstal.
Oh, I see. We're getting worse.
The Lave Borstal, I think that'd be. It's got a certain ring to it, doesn't it?
Lave Borstal facility.
And it would be, it would be appropriate as well, what with the orange sidewinder and all.
The Asbo Sidewinder. Right. Well, I think we'll discuss the top 20 bugs which happened in the stream today at a later point. In the meantime, we'll just quickly go over the in-game events which have been happening this week. On Wednesday the 11th, they finally announced the long-lost research facility, which was discovered as part of the Colonia Bridge project. They also announced that the Colonia Bridge project gained further resources, so that we're going to have more megaships heading all the way.
Does anybody know if it's possible when this is finished? Because they're only a few hundred light years apart. Are any of them bridgeable by apex? I'm thinking you could apex all the way to Colonia if they're close enough. So apex from one of these megaships to the next, to the next, to the next. I mean, it'll take a while, but
they only went about 50 light years or something. They don't go terribly far.
I would say there should be an exploration version of Apex, which is a fuel scoop.
No, you don't want more time in the adder just sat around and twiddling your fingers.
Actually, Colin, I would pay 1 billion credits to send you on an adder to to Beagle Point, Colin. I'd get you an adder and I'd pay you 1 billion credits to be stuck on an Apex shuttle all the way to Beagle Point in an adder. I think the complaining would be so worth it.
I am at the moment doing Top Shift 131 in an adder at the moment, and it is so painful. And I really, really wish I hadn't made that bet.
Yeah, I can honestly say if there were a way to take a shuttle to Colonia and back, I would.
There are scheduled megaships.
No, I mean if I could take the like the proper taxi.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Well,
I would do that.
So, I want unengineered adder. You would sit on an unengineered adder.
I would
all the
get
way.
on. I would get in the taxi to Colonia and back if I could. Yes.
Engineered or not?
It's
Well,
not
it'll be whatever.
fiery toad.
It's whatever. It's whatever is available in Apex Interstellar.
Oh my god. I would not. I mean, it's like I said last week, I saw Fiery Toad take 3 hours to get to Colonia. Can you imagine how bad it would be?
This is kind of why I would do it. It would be, I would do it just for the stupidity of it.
I've
So how
flown
would
a
you get back?
fleet
You'd have to
carrier.
fly back. You'd have to fly back though, wouldn't you, Ben?
Well, that's why I said I'd fly to Colonia and return.
But the thing is, while you're doing it, it would be a bit like taking a fleet. I've actually flown a fleet carrier to Colonia and back. I sort of ran a bus service, the East India Company. Well, it's actually more like a train service, really. But to Colonia with my fleet carrier, it cost 500 million credits worth of fuel to do. By the way.
Wow.
But the thing is, people could just jump on and ride. It took 2 days to get there. I had it timed to the minute as well. I came with a complete working timetable and everything. And because I used the Spanish tool to plot the route, and I had everything plotted down to the minute. But the thing is, from the point of view of the user doing the Apex taxi all the way to Colonia, you just set it going and then you kind of make a cup of tea and let it do its thing. You don't have to. It's a great
200
time
hours
saver.
later, you'd get there.
I'm a bit sad
Because it's
about
real time, isn't it? It's
Well,
real
yeah.
time. You can't log out and then find yourself in Colonia a couple of days
Well,
later.
okay, what you do is you don't have to log out. You just leave it going, and you go off and you make a cup of tea and maybe watch TV or go out on your bike
Or
or
wait for a
whatever.
romantic week holiday.
Yeah, and then come back and there you are in Colonia.
See, I think if I ran a taxi service to Colonia using a carrier, I don't think I'd get any contributions at all. No, well, yeah, I just don't think, and I'm quite upset that people wouldn't trust me to go to Colonia.
I had
No,
loads of people ride my carrier. I had a whole bunch. One of the people missed it because I was very insistent that if you're late, we won't wait. And unfortunately, of course, once you start the countdown for your first jump, I mean, you can't really do much about it. But anyway, one of the guys he arrived literally. He dropped into the instance just as my carrier was jumping out, or just actually just as the pads locked down. So he caught up. He did actually catch up. He got a jumped in his exploration thingy. I think it was a Diamondback, and sort of caught up. But even so,
Yeah, I mean, you did warn.
Yes, I mean I published a timetable and everything, and it ran to the minute. I think it was because a lot of people sort of say when they do these, because there's the Fleet Carriers Owners Club, you can advertise these journeys, and people sort of say departing Tuesday at 1700 in-game time, arrival sometime Friday, maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday. But I actually had it timed to the minute.
So how does it actually work then? If anyone's interested in doing it, or think, did you accept donations in tritium? Did you
Yeah,
file the
yeah. If
done
I
it
said,
just for your
I'm not,
goodwill? Or?
I said I'm not insisting, but if you got some tritium to donate, just donate some tritium, and that's what people actually did. So it didn't actually cost me 500 million in tritium in the end because people did donate some. Or rather,
it's a bit like shareware, was it? When they say,
or
if you
rather
like
not
this
donate it. I had it like as a buy order because you can only donate so much until the tank's full. So I had a buy order on there. So for like some really low price, which is effectively donating it when it costs 50,000 a ton and you're only buying at 10%.
Well, I'm going to have to interrupt this discussion on economics and fuel consumption because we haven't finished the in-game events this week. Now, obviously, on Thursday, Aegis went nuts. Admiral Tanner decided that he'd had enough of Salvation stealing all the limelight or provoking the Thargoids or whatever the excuse is, and he's now gone and attacked Salvation's allies, which has kicked off a CG.
Unfortunately for Admiral Tanner, I think his side is losing quite badly.
Haven't they
It's
lost already?
have they lost it already? I haven't
I had
checked.
looked. I had to look at the. When I was looking at missions, I was like, no CGs available.
Oh my goodness.
So what's the? Sorry for being dunce about this, but so what was the rationale for him attacking Salvation? Because to me, it seems a bit like he's trying to do in India and China with everyone else. With Salvation being why aren't they all pulling in the same direction? And why would he put his interests above that of the species?
Well, Admiral Tanner says that the Hive Mind asteroid base contains proof that Salvation's unlicensed anti-Xeno weapon is intentionally designed to provoke the Thargoids and therefore endangering everybody. As Taurus Miners Ventures refuses to cooperate, we have no choice but to try and obtain the evidence by force. So that's his.
I don't. Yeah, I don't buy that. It's a bit like, oh, don't worry, the cat will kill the wasp.
Yeah, and it does look as if yes, the Hindmind and Salvation have won that community goal. They managed. It was completed yesterday, which is wow. Now it's quite a way out, which is why I didn't join in, but because I wasn't going to jump about 200 light years just for that. But obviously, a lot of other people did.
Would you join Salvation's side?
Actually,
Or
I would have joined Tanner's side because I think Salvation is provoking a war that we don't need. But I always seem to be choosing the wrong sides.
Yeah, I think I have to admit I'd have chosen Salvation side.
Yeah.
yeah, I'd have chosen Salvation side because you always go with the guy with the biggest gun.
Yes. So, and of course, there is still the suspicion that it wasn't the Thargoids that stole Aegis Guardian's components. It was Salvation himself, or herself, or itself, depending on who you believe. So now that that's out of the way, obviously on Friday there was the manhunt for Theta 7, which we've already discussed. And then on Monday, and this is the interesting thing that Cannon jumped in on, the Dredger clan faces possible extinction. Apparently, because the Dredger is not moving and it's not sucking in materials through its maw, it's basically beginning to run out of necessary materials in order for the actual megaship to exist. It's very much like a basking shark. If it stops moving, it seems to die.
I was going to say it's like the Doomsday Machine, wasn't it, in Star Trek?
Was that because it had to keep on moving? I don't remember it actually doing that. I thought it just
might have been in the series. I'm not sure, but there was a book that was written about it. DC Fontana, I think, wrote a book about.
Oh, right.
Not quite a sequel, but the book went into what the Doomsday device was, who made it, and what it was for, and all things like that. Yeah, I think the book was called Vendetta. I think the book's title was. But anyway, yeah,
I'll have to look that one up. I do like a bit of DC Fontana work because she's an absolute superb writer. Yeah, so that brings us up to date. So obviously, it's that time of the week again.
Store alert!
In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art.
Right. instantly in the offline moment, me and Ben were having bets about which version of the Store Alert song it was going to be. So next week we will be taking bets to see which one comes out. Right, newsletter this week. Well, there seems to be. Now we're not sure about this. Now I haven't seen this before. Ben hasn't seen this before, but the Asp Explorer Crossfire, which is available in multiple colors, that seems to be the latest one, but we don't know whether or not they've just regurgitated one or we've seen something similar. Shan?
When I saw this, my first thought was if you ever read like car magazines and they show the spy shot of, I don't know, the latest BMW with all the camouflage on it designed to disguise the angles and things. It looks like a prototype of an app before they've released it.
A hidden prototype. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from for that. But yeah, that does seem to be the the one of the week. Is anybody hoping for a Black Friday set of?
Oh yeah.
They should do the jet black thing again, because I think it was mentioned the other week, the whole thing with people getting very dark ships, no one can see them. Well, that's not a problem because you've got night vision.
Well, yeah, I have night vision now. Yes.
Yes, which you didn't then. So we could have a return of the really, really black paint jobs because they were rather cool.
Thing is, by the time you switch to night vision, your shields are down and your hull's half gone.
I always have my night vision on. If I'm expecting combat, I have night vision on.
Can you put it on in Super Cruise? I didn't think you.
Yes, you can put it on whenever.
I'd just like to point out to Slam Dunk 66, we are never having a pink custard Store Alert.
Because we can't afford to hire them again.
I don't think Trev and Simon would ever want to come anywhere near us again after that last one. Although apparently Chris Forrester is still scum. Foz is going to kill me for that because he's not.
I do think maybe we need an alternative version. Maybe get a Psykit cow singing it or something. A trucker's version of the Store Alert song.
Oh, no. As JN Tracks will take great offence at someone trying to mimic his work. I think we have to leave it to JN Tracks to come up with a variant. It's only fair. Anyway,
what you can do is you can have the Hutton Truckers version of the singing supply it as an audio file to JN Tracks, who can then mix it in with the sort of backing and all that kind of stuff.
Well, actually, we have multiple Scottish people, don't we? So you could do a Proclaimers version.
A Proclaimers version of the Store Alert song. Oh, Jesus. That's just thrown me completely. I was just thinking that maybe we could help enlist the truckers at the next ECM to all have them sing it into a microphone just before BS News starts. Right. What we're going to do is we're going to take a short break from this insanity and we'll come back with our main discussion.
Are you thinking of suing over missold Python protection insurance? Had an accident in an airlock or slipped in a space station cargo bay and thinking of suing for compensation? Well, don't.
I tried to take my ship commander to court for making fertiliser out of my crewmates. Legal fees have left me with nothing, and now I'm hungry. All the time.
At Watt & Brittany, we take small print very seriously. We have a massive team of lawyers just waiting to block your case and ramp up your legal costs.
I wanted a simple, no-win, no-fee arrangement. My case got blown out of the water by Watt & Brittany, and now I have to rent out my arse for hydrogen fuel.
At Watt & Brittany, we have a saying, if you don't want a beating, stay out of our court.
I was savaged by a wild creature whilst fixing a vending machine. Can't I claim compensation?
No, you can't. Because we have a massive team of lawyers and you're just someone who works for a living. Watt & Brittany. Don't even think about it.
This is a public service announcement from the Fuel Rats. Please stop what you're doing and pay attention. If we can rescue you, we will, but you can help us help you by following these easy steps. 1. Fly 50 light seconds or so from the system's main star and drop out of Supercruise. 2. Note down the current system and the nearest stellar body. 3. If you're on emergency life support, log out immediately. 4. Go to fuelrats.org and click Get Help. 5. Stay calm, hold your breath, and let our seasoned professionals do what they do best. The Fuel Rats. We have fuel, you don't. Any questions?
He was a space pirate with quirky habits.
Hi. Most people find me quirky. I don't eat in front of people.
She was a busy space liner captain with no time for love.
I've got 50 passengers to take on a space whale watching tour. I don't have time for dating.
But when fate throws them together, the result is pretty inevitable.
You're like no man I've ever met. Forget my job, ship and crew. Where should we go for a date?
It better not be a restaurant.
From Signian Dreams Entertainments comes a new total immersion experience.
It was incredible. I just put on the headset and it's like I was there, in the story.
Using Signian Dreams' patented Dreamwear immersion headsets, you'll feel the love.
It were like I could feel everything that plucky ship captain were feeling.
You'll feel the passion.
Let's just say, when they got off, I got off.
You'll feel everything.
Did you enjoy your meal?
Oop. I don't think I should have had that raw seafood.
Signian Dream Entertainments and Dreamwear headsets, bringing you closer to the adventure. Signian Dream Entertainments is a division of Signian Dream Military Educational Software. Combat training software also available. Please be aware that improper use of the Dreamwear headset may lead to psychosis, time loss, memory impairment, and hallucination.
And welcome back. Well, we've got a kind of dual main discussion tonight, even though it's taken us quite a while to get here. Obviously, the top 20 has been released of the top 20 voted issues on the issue tracker, which Arthur and Sally went through. However, it does seem that a lot of these aren't being looked at, or they're being investigated, or they're being skipped because they're focusing on update 9. So what we do is we thought we'd focus on what's coming in update 9 as well. Obviously, from the top 20, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 issues which they'll hopefully be able to cross off the list. They do have one issue slated for update 10. So just quickly going through this with everybody. First of all, their highest priority one is the severe performance problems they've had since update 5. Now, they've said that this, from what they've seen of update 9, a lot of the issues around the settlements do seem to be resolving themselves. I must admit, I'm not getting that many issues around the settlements. Is anybody else?
Touchwood, it seems to be behaving itself for me.
Jan? Oh, you've not had performance problems because you've got a daftly powerful graphics card, haven't you?
Yeah, I haven't. As I said, I can't really comment on most of these because I haven't experienced them personally. So I'm quite happy with the performance at the moment. So go and buy a new graphics card, everyone else. Sorry.
And as usual, Shan is as sympathetic to everybody else's plight as usual. Has
anyone got any wasps handy?
Mac, you said your 980 has actually started to behave itself with update 8.
Yeah, it became basically I mean, we're not talking like brilliant, completely.
Oh yeah, I know.
Everywhere. It's smooth in most places, and it's playable. I can now do like a high intensity conflict zone, and the frame rate is enough that it's playable. Although not quite smooth. But I'm soon going to be in Shan's corner because I just had a new graphics card literally arrive today.
Can we be nosy and ask what it is?
I'm thinking on a flex.
It's a AMD Radeon 6900 something or other.
Nice. See, You could have gone on Discord on your phone, and we could have watched you install it live on the show, and then listened to you ooh and ah when you turned it on and got it working.
Or swearing when it didn't work.
Oh dear,
That would
and
suck.
and swearing about the fact that static. What could you do about static? Zap.
Yeah, I had to have a good dig around because I had to find because it needs different power supply cables than the 980. So I had to find my box of power supply cables, which I went in the loft, couldn't find. Well, I found one there, which turned out to be the wrong one. But eventually, I found in my Radio Shack, I found the the nice little box you get from Corsair, not box, little bag thing with a bunch of them in. So
Aren't these things fairly standard? Where
yeah, they are.
it's like
But there's
you might need 8 or you might need 16 of them or something. 8
yeah,
pin or 16
they've
pin
got
or
different
something like
ends depending on what they plug into. So there's
Right.
there's like the 8-pin connector, but some of them are for the CPU on the motherboard, and some of them are for PCIe cards. So you got to get the right cable out, and I got the 8-pin to 8-pin, which was the CPU one. And I thought, I hope I got, because otherwise I have to wait for cables now. But as I said, I found my little box or little bag of Corsair stuff, which I hadn't, which was spare from when it was all installed, because the 980 doesn't use some of those cables.
Well,
I had enough.
well, we wish you luck with that, and I hope that you get a good performance when
I'm
it
sure
finally
it'll
all
be
slots in.
Is your power supply up to it?
I hope so. I do have another power supply sitting around. Unfortunately, the other power supply, I've got a 1 kilowatt one.
Wow.
Which I was going to use as a bench power supply because it was a little bit. Well, I had a problem with an older machine it was in, boot looping. But I'm not convinced actually that there's anything wrong with that power supply, because as I say, I fired it up to use as a bench supply and it's worked perfectly fine. So, but I've got like a 750 watt, which should just be enough to do the job.
Oof, that's the size of power supply I'm getting next. Anyway, moving further down the list, we've got here the update 10.1 is that they've managed to replicate some of the issues for the in-game statistics and the codex and journal not updating properly. So that's the one that they're confident that will be coming in update 10. The next update one is the issues with the atmospheric lighting. Apparently, the primary issue has been fixed for the light tint. It is just, yeah, they're just saying you should engineer the power supply. Lovely.
Well, that would be nice, yes.
Yeah, so the atmospheric lighting is one slated for next one. This is the one that I hate at the moment. Is when I'm driving around in the SRV, all the items aren't on the floor and the scanner. They're sort of like 200, 300 meters in the air.
Yes.
That is an irritating one.
Yes.
It's better than when my Clipper was 200, 300 meters in the air. So at least that's something. The next one they've got, well, it's the last one. Now, I'm not quite so sure what this one is. Thermal conduit too strong and wrong damage increase. Anyone, that sounds a little sort of foreign language to me. Is it some kind of damage effect?
It's. I think thermal conduit's an experimental effect from one from weapon engineering.
Yeah. So
yeah, basically, sorry. What it does, it gives a damage buff when the ship is above 100%.
Yeah.
So basically, the aim is to get your ship hot to increase the damage. So it's ideal for plasma, railguns, etc.
Oh, right. Gotcha. Now, those are the issues that are definitely being well, they're coming in from the top 20. However, Sally did point out that there's a lot more coming, and that these are the ones they're confident about talking about now. Apparently, selling cargo resulting in a yellow adder error Has anybody had that one?
I've not, no.
No.
Then equally, I've not done a lot of bulk trading of late either, so.
Yeah, well, that one is resolved pending QA. The paint job's not being visible in multi-crew.
So I'm quite glad they fixed that one.
Yeah.
Because part of the point of having a paint job is so other people can see it.
It's kind of the only point, really, isn't it?
Yes. Other than
Yeah.
taking pictures of your asp in front of things.
Yeah. The ship HUD visible in external camera view in the camera suite. Apparently that's resolved. I never even heard of that one, to be honest. The one thing that I'm missing though is, the frost effects and the heat effects that you sometimes get going across the windshield. They've gone.
They've gone.
Gone. I
You
haven't
don't
been
get any more sparks and whatever when you overheat anymore.
No, both of those seem to be missing.
Oh, the frost effect is brilliant. I love
It was,
that.
yeah.
I know, but it doesn't happen in Odyssey.
Have they said why?
I think it is. I think it is actually listed in the issue tracker, but not many people have voted it.
Hmm.
I know I have, but yeah. This one's a good one. When using a hatch breaker limpet on the escape or cargo hatch or escape pod on a non-dockable megaship, invalid limpet target error is shown. This one's definitely resolved. I know a lot of people were getting annoyed with that one because they liked raiding the megaships and stealing slaves. Stations visibly pop or load after manually jumping out of supercruise.
That's a shame.
Yeah?
It was so funny because you just jump out of Super Cruise and all of a sudden you get a station in the face.
Well, I loved it when you zoomed through the station.
Oh yeah, I haven't had that for a while, but yeah,
I
you
love
just jump out and get. It was even better. The car, I think they've stopped it happening now, but when you're exploring and you jumped and ended up in between a binary system, in between the two suns, that ever
Oh,
happened to
that
you?
can still happen. That
It can still happen, can it?
And when it happens in VR, there is a tendency to scream like a little girl.
I will certainly agree with that. Well, the next one actually is sort of rebalanced cockpit canopy effects. That could be they're putting the frosting and the heat effects back in. I hope so, because I've kind of really missed it. Because I went back to Horizons obviously to play my power play commander, and I had to escape from someone, so I went cold, and of course the frosting effect came up, and I went, and it's only when you actually see it again you realise that's missing. So yeah. And finally, one of Sally's favourites, the ship engine trail smoke appearing ahead of you after a ship exits supercruise. It was quite weird seeing these smoke trails in front of you as you flew through them. Now, those are the major issues that they're putting in, but they have said that there are literally hundreds of extra ones coming. I mean, on average, there's been how many mentioned bug fixes? There's at least been 150 for every update so far.
Do you get the feeling that they're getting towards the end of their major bug list?
Fixing? Yes, I think they are. However, there was, I don't know, this is one thing about the stream that really got me a little at the moment. There was the usual questions about consoles and things like that, and it seemed that there was a slight change in tone of language where they sort of said, okay, what we're doing is we're getting Odyssey up to scratch, and then we'll be looking at the console situation, which is what I think they always have. But I always had the impression that they were going to go ahead and straight ahead do the consoles, not evaluate whether it can be done.
Well, I'm not sure whether it's achievable or not, but the news that they said that we're going to be focusing on Odyssey, release Odyssey, and then look at console. I'm reasonably certain we knew that already. That certainly doesn't surprise me based on what was said.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's just reiterating. It's just that I got the impression that, yeah, they were going to look at console and get console working. I just got the impression that they're actually going to see whether or not they can get it working.
Well, that's potentially really dodgy, isn't it? Because they've sold copies based on they've sold console
they?
copies, haven't they?
No, they
Yeah.
haven't.
Have
They
they?
haven't. So
Yeah.
no, they didn't put any pre-orders in for Odyssey on consoles. You couldn't buy Odyssey on console or pre-order it. I'm quite sure. I'm sure of that, and I'm sure the chat room will correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm sure that you cannot. They didn't mention anything about the consoles. People had the console versions. They did say in communications that they were planning to do the console version after update 5, but then they realized update 5 wasn't as good as it should have been.
Technically, after update 9 is still after update 5, so they're not lying.
Well, true, but what they did say that update 5 was going to be the last update, and then everybody would get a fix on the consoles.
Yeah.
You might be right. I'm just trying to cast my mind back all the way to May, where you guys might be right. If anyone actually brought a copy of Odyssey on console, then that'd be
Yeah.
interesting. I think thinking about it, I think you guys are right. I think the issue is reputational damage as
Yeah.
opposed to
Winston was just
Win-
saying
yeah.
the comments and consoles for console. The comments for consoles has always been, since the delay was announced, that we will revisit our plans for consoles.
Yeah, we'll revisit our plans, which means we need to evaluate whether or not we can actually put this thing on consoles.
Revisit our plans. It's like one of those things, like a pre-meeting meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's.
I can now
I
understand.
I don't want to get all tinfoil hatty.
I can now understand why the console owners are getting so worried. I've just got a horrible feeling that maybe certainly they might be able to get it on the Xbox One and the PS5, but having seen what I've seen so far, getting it onto an Xbox One or a PS4.
I think you mean Xbox Series X and things, but yes, I agree
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Colin. I think because they may be able to get a constant 30 FPS, you know, with minimal drops below 30, so it's not quite so jaggy. But to be fair, from what I've seen of console players, if it's 30 FPS, it will just get slaughtered in reviews. It just won't be that kind of silky smooth console experience which people expect. So that's what I'm
I
concerned
thought
about.
a lot of consoles were used to 30 FPS for 4K.
Not with FPS. They tend to want them to be. The expectations tend to be
I
higher
don't
than
think
30.
you're right there, Shan. I
I
think
I would check what
at
Overwatch
1080p
is.
you're right, but I think if they're 4K, I don't think consoles are hitting that.
Yeah, but look at the Xbox One specs. Do you think its graphic capabilities can handle Odyssey at 4K?
No.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
We'll just have to wait and see, because obviously the Frontier are the better Xbox developers than we are. And
Yeah,
PS.
I was right. Vanet is confirming 30 FPS at 4K.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Happy Monkey has said, I think it will hit consoles, but the key is to which financial year it will fall into. Yeah, because there was the announcement that they've cut projections for Odyssey by a third, which is exactly what they say the player base for consoles, the whole Elite player base is. So apparently a third of us play on consoles. And I know Arth would be gutted because he really wants it on Xbox.
So do you think Frontier will consider them a failure if they don't manage to get out on consoles? If they have to abandon the console release, do you think they'll shrug it off? So we gave it a really good go, guys.
I
Sorry.
don't think
Or
they'll abandon it, but I could see them saying the Odyssey only works in the most recent generation of consoles.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the Apple version, where the hardware just could not keep up with where Elite Dangerous was. So eventually, the the
Well, the
Apple
Apple
version.
version was the libraries that Apple
Yeah,
provided.
that was
Yeah,
library hardware.
it was a back level version of OpenGL. I think they were going to whatever the new graphics rendering library was, which is different to everyone else's, of course, and they didn't support compute shaders.
Yeah, I know, but the problem was that Apple didn't didn't provide those facilities, so Frontier stopped Horizons on
Yeah.
Apple, and I'm a bit concerned for the console owners about the fact that, you know, if the hardware is not going to be up to it, Frontier will
Okay,
cut
so
their
is it
losses.
acceptable to say to Xbox One and PS4 commanders, sorry guys, but you really should upgrade?
Yeah, because I mean there are PS5s and new Xboxes around every corner, aren't there, to upgrade?
Yes, like the ones I'm trying to buy at the moment. Even after all this time, I'm still having trouble tracking down an Xbox X.
It is an interesting point, though, Ben. I mean, how many people would be prepared to pay £500-ish, if not more, to upgrade a console to play Odyssey? Or would
Yeah,
they
but
be looking at what?
it wouldn't just be Odyssey, would it? It would be other games as well. Because, you know,
I'm
I've
also
seen.
wondering, you know, how many people haven't upgraded.
Well, I know my son hasn't.
Well, I'm not a console gamer, but from what I have been told, uh, the availability and thing of console of next gen console releases, sorry, is fairly sparse, and that the reasons to upgrade are fairly slim.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny about the whole of Odyssey at the moment, because I have a sneaking suspicion they expected a lot of us to have a lot more advanced graphics cards than we actually do have at the moment, mostly due to the uh, you know, the superconductor shortage and COVID and all the rest of it. So most people, they're trying to put hardware, the you know, hardware that runs Horizon absolutely fantastically well is actually outdated by modern standards. And I think it was just one quote from David Braben saying, "Oh, we were expecting to have it working at similar Horizon specs that got everybody
Well, he was said
excited."
it was working fine on his ZX81 or wherever he was running.
It was actually a 980, wasn't it? I was at
Yep, it was.
960.
It was 980 he has.
Yeah. And yeah, that was, I don't know. I think there are some times when David Braben speaks, I bet you that off and the rest of the community team are going, "Oh God, no, he said that. Oh, we're going to get absolutely crucified."
See communications issues. Anyway.
Dear. But you can't. Well,
I
it
think
all
we just
depends
have
on
to
what you're
wait and
told.
see with console. We can speculate, and I think is I know on Crash on one of his streams said the actual the pathing and the way the console does the graphical work is different to a PC, so you can't necessarily equate the two ways of coding. So I think you just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean that it is one of those things, isn't it? I mean, quickly, we'll just touch on the other part of the subject. I mean, obviously, they dropped a little bit of a hint during the live stream last week that there would be new missions that would be coming that specifically need SRVs. Now, we've not had this before, or obviously with the engineering feedback, they sort of said there'd be new. There might be new missions connected with an engineer. So we thought we'd just ask the team, have they got any ideas about what either of these two mission types could be?
You know, what I'd like to have
Go on then, Shan.
passenger missions in the SRV.
It's possible.
Where you had to carry a passenger from one base to the next purely in an SRV. And that would be excellent fun, especially if they were wanted. It'd be like Grand Theft Auto or something like that.
I mean, yeah, I mean that does sound great. What you mean actually have the NPC characters sat next to you in the SRV?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I can imagine there being these kind of delivery missions where you've got to deliver something between two settlements which are quite close together, but
What, and give it some contrived reason why it can't go in a spaceship?
I don't know.
Well, the thing is, if you have to smuggle them in, then
Mhm.
the base would presumably scan the spaceship, wouldn't it, as it came into dock? So
Yeah.
that would be a reason not to have them in the spaceship because it would be docked and then you'd be in trouble. So you'd have to stealth in with
And
them.
yet, how often do you get
Touch
scanned in an SRV?
I can't recall it. It's certainly not rare, isn't it? But you could sort of stick it in the back of your boot or something like some kind of gangster and smuggle them in.
The transporter. Everyone's going to be doing David Statham. David Statham? God's truth, what's wrong with me? Jason Statham
Yeah, so
impersonation.
that would be one. I don't know what Alex thinks of their SRV style missions. Would he go for that?
That'd be good. For, get
And the only thing I'd say about this is it's a combat-oriented SRV.
Mhm.
So presumably they're going to be giving some kind of combat-oriented SRV missions.
Did we ever find out if they did hire the person to handle vehicle-to-vehicle combat?
I want
So-
to say yes, they did, but I can't. I don't know that.
Because obviously we've seen this SRV, but do the NPCs have the same SRV? Are we going to end up in kind of SRV battles? Because the only SRV battles I've ever seen has been between players.
It would be quite cool if you could have the SRVs in the war zones and things like that.
I don't think you get NPC controlled SRVs.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, that would be nice. I mean,
They get
obviously,
their skimmers, don't they? That the NPCs use skimmers instead of SRVs.
I want skimmers for us too.
I
So
wonder
does
if-
Sally. Sally
I wonder
wants
if this-
us and skimmers. No,
Yeah,
was it Sally or was it Zach?
You just want to play the Green Goblin, really, Ben, isn't it?
Hell yeah.
Oh,
I'm
come
just
on, we all
wondering if
want
this new
pod racing.
SRV is better at running, better at running like enemy security personnel over.
Actually, it probably wouldn't be. You'd be able to duck.
You just went knives. You just went knives on the wheel hubs, wouldn't you? Like Boudica, like Boudica.
Full Mad Max mode.
You know what's bad about this? I had to run this one over 3 times before he finally lay down.
That's rude.
I had to get the wheel to go over him. I mean, it was just...
And then I reversed
Did it
over
make
him, Governor.
Did it make a crunch sound? Is that what you have to? Do you have to listen for a crunch sound to make sure you've got them?
Yeah, and suitable arg sounds. You get lots of args.
Oh dear. Yeah, that the saddled face of the mercenary.
Yeah,
as
I
he
saw the
bounced off my windscreen.
slow-moving, sad-faced old mercenary after he bounced off the bonnet of my SRV.
Oh
So
dear.
would you want a decal on
The
your
mercenary
SRV
didn't know
with?
which way to run, so I ran him over.
So would you want a little decal to have like squished people on the side for victories or something?
There should be a new elite rating, I think.
What, Squisher? You want a new decal with the little spacemen, so you can put them across the side of your.
Oh, I see you. Yeah, I was thinking, you know how you've got those car boot joke things which look like somebody's fingers coming out of the boot?
You want real fingers?
I'm thinking something like that for your SRV.
Oh
clean,
dear.
clean me on something. Yeah.
Next, you'll be wanting a Garfield that you can stick on the windscreen.
Or
had one
actually,
of them.
Or actually, what you have a little sticker that says, "My other SRV is a scorpion" or something. You know.
Oh no! Now you're giving them an idea that they'll charge us for arcs.
I've no problems with Frontier charging us for arcs for cosmetic things. and giving us items, and we'll give them items for it. That's all right for me.
You'd have
Yeah.
you'd have tin cans or whatever they have the trash in the concourse, wouldn't you? Could tie them to your back of your shuttle. Sorry, SRV.
I mean, what kind of missions could we do for engineers? Is it just going to be a case of? Surely it's going to be more of a
FedEx. That'd be FedEx
yeah.
missions.
I mean, that'll be quite boring after a while. Surely there'll be something
I,
else we could.
I want to actually have reputations for engineers go down as well as up. So if you fail your engineer mission, they disown you and confiscate all your modules.
I mean, that does sound like a good idea to me, but then it's taking away from the community, and we all know how some people feel about that.
Can you imagine that you have a stealth mission on to smuggle to get into a base without being seen, and you fail it? So Etienne Dawn then hates you and doesn't want to
He'll
talk
want
to you anymore, and then
Etienne
confiscates
Dawn
all your.
packs you off into an occupied escape pod and then does whatever he does with occupied escape pods to you.
Or Felicity Fasting confiscates your friendship drive.
I mean, how would you like it is if you could link that kind of reputation system with the fact that some engineers don't like others and they'll try and get you to steal stuff from other engineers,
Yes,
which will increase your reputation with one engineer but decrease it with another.
I don't think your rating with an engineer ever goes down, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Ratchets up.
It ratchets up.
This is what should really have happened with the Empire. You should have had to choose. Do you want a cutter or do you want a Corvette?
Mm.
And then you have to stick. You can't do this. Okay, make it so you can get both. But if you've lost your reputation with the other one, you don't get any rebuys with it, or something like that. So it's not cost free to go and mercenary for the other side.
Yeah, I mean that's something that I've always agreed with, but it's taking us a little bit off topic at the moment. And to be honest, I think we've kind of run out of time for topics as well. So what we'll do is we're obviously going to come back to this. We'll hopefully find out what kind of missions we can look forward to when the update comes out. So did they actually say when in December, or is it just December?
Just December. Talking about December, do we know if Frontier are doing a 24-hour charity live stream this year in
No,
December?
so far they haven't announced it. But one thing that they did announce last Thursday is Arf said that he wants to try and organise some kind of Christmas do round Cambridge for elite commanders. So similar to the event that Frontier once had in Birmingham, where members of the community buy tickets and they put on a do. He said that there won't be anything. No special release information or nothing will be released at the time. Just a social gathering because there hasn't been one for quite a while. They're saying no promises, no guarantees yet, but that could be the first social thing happening in Elite Dangerous since the last LaveCon.
Or they could wait until summer and come to LaveCon and be with the normal people.
Yeah. I mean, apparently Sally got that drunk she can't remember much of the last LaveCon. So
I do remember seeing Sally running amok with a Nerf minigun. I think Ben was there as well, watching the goings on.
Yeah, that Nerf minigun was absolutely
It
astounding.
was amazing. We have video evidence of it, and I will tag Sally in at any opportunity, just to remind her how much fun she had at LaveCon, and why Frontier need to come back next year.
Very much so. Very much so. Right. Onto the community corner. Well, the Anti-Xeno Initiative have, not only in addition to doing their sterling work against the Thargoid menace, which, let's be honest, I think there's now 13 systems which have got significant a significant or massive Thargoid presence, so they've got their work cut out for them. In order to help with this, they have started a new website called www.thargoid.watch, and that will show everywhere where the Thargoids are causing a nuisance in the system. Obviously, the numbers are far in excess of what we have ever seen before. So good luck, and I'm trying to help out. I'll see what
I'm
happens.
assuming the AXI are loving all this.
Oh yeah, I mean these conflict zones. It's fantastic that we don't have conflict zones that disappear. I've been stuck in the middle of some of them, and I must admit I am enjoying taking out the Thargoid scouts. I don't know if they've gone and done a little bit of a tweaking to the AI or stuff, but it does seem to be a lot better.
I was just looking at the website now. Actually, the Thargoid.watch. It's actually pretty cool. Actually, it's. Do we know how this information is collated? Is it a manual update or is it automatically generated from people's journal files?
I've got no idea. We could ask the Anti-Xeno Initiative how they do it. So
It sort of needs to be a weather map, really, doesn't it? Though, if I had a comment, it needs to be there's a, you know, taking the southwesterly galactic wind. There's a high chance of Hydra with a small amount of Medusa moving in as the day progresses. That sort of thing.
and a slight splattering of Cyclops over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could do it like the shipping forecast, really.
Yeah. Except less boring.
Yeah, except you get excited when they mention Dogger.
Dogger and Thargoid bite.
Moving on, mostly clueless. Well, we've got neutron boosting for beginners. I don't know who put this one in, but
That
it's
was
always.
me.
Oh, thank you, Mac.
There's nothing in there, so I thought I'd put some stuff in there.
Neutron boosting for beginners. Part 1. When entering the jet cone, always enter the jet cone facing away from the neutron star. Throttle down until your FSD is overcharged. 2. Never use white dwarfs for boosts. The jet cone doesn't
White dwarfs are evil.
Yes.
Yes. The jet cone doesn't extend far enough from the exclusion zone, the boost isn't very good, and you risk dropping out and getting killed. 3. If you do unfortunately drop out, try your best to low wake out. Use boost to try and align your trajectory with where you're pointing quicker. Also, call the hull seals to get a quick fix up if you can get out. Always carry enough synthesis mats in case your canopy gets broken. A broken canopy isn't a death sentence if you have enough emergency oxygen, life support synthesis mats, and those are commonly nickel and iron. I only found out that you could repair the canopy, synthesize the canopy, not so long back. When did they put that in?
I don't think you can.
No, this is it. You've got to synthesize. You have to keep synthesizing
the atmosphere.
The atmosphere.
Oh, right. Okay, so you can. You're just referring to synthesizing the atmosphere until
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I always thought that was on the list where you could actually repair the canopy, but
no, that's one of the most fun moments in the game is when your canopy goes and you've then got to dock manually and you can't see where anything is because your HUD is all busted up.
Yeah. I've never understood that, why the HUD is busted up, seeing as the HUD's meant to be on the. Yeah, I've always taken it to be sort of a holographic projector inside of our ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's on the screen.
Well, is it? Because you.
Yeah, you've got 3
especially
levels.
when you. Yeah, but when you look around your ship and you look around the cockpit, it's not on the screen. It's floating in midair.
Well, the way it's represented, I think, is the holograms closest to you are above the panel, the dashboard of the ship. So I've got a picture of the crate on there. So the crate is the hologram on the dashboard, and then the HUD is on the canopy of the ship. So it's kind of like a multi-layer thing. As you look at it, that's how I interpret it, anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, So there's a hint for neutron star boostings. Just don't use white dwarfs.
That is probably the biggest piece of advice in there. Yeah, don't bother with white dwarf unless you like living dangerously. But
it's quite ironic that basically the reason we've got the neutron highway is because of a mistake. Frontier, you were supposed to get a small jump from a neutron star and a slightly bigger jump from a white dwarf, but they made
multiplied it by 10 or something, didn't they?
they multiplied it by 30 on the neutron star, and everybody went, no, keep it. But the more difficult star to scoop for, you get less of a jump range for. Shan?
Well, I was thinking how we were talking about engineering last week, and we've touched on the exploration mechanic where the FSD range has actually shrunk the galaxy to be basically like the M6. I think I'd be okay with losing the increased jump range from engineering as long as we could keep neutron boosting, because there's an element of skill involved in neutron boosting where there's a less skill in just having an AC jump, like jump Anaconda.
Yeah.
I know what you mean there, Shan, and I almost want to agree with you.
We need Psykit back. Right. Well, we had some feedback on the YouTube channels from last week's show. Alzelander Coburn has been. We appreciate your enthusiasm in commenting twice. He votes for the original Store Alert song being the best, and he wants black ship skins for fleet carriers, please.
I guess 1 out of 2 isn't bad.
Also, thanks, Snowstalker36. Your this massive essay of a comment that you've put in. We were going to put it to Psyche, but as she's quite poorly tonight, we will hold fire with that and put it to her next week because yes, that will certainly.
Is it worth putting that in the public show notes so people can read it? Because it really is a very good and detailed response, actually. And
well, I
think
thinking. I think we'll put that in next week's show notes when Psychic comes back, because I think it's only fair.
Yeah.
But,
okay. Yeah.
I mean, anybody can go to last week's YouTube episode and you'll be able to see it there. Thanks for the fantastic essay there, Snowstalker. It was a really fascinating read.
Yeah, more like that, please, because I enjoyed reading it and thinking around it and considering the points it was made, and it's just nice to have a detailed comment that you can sink your teeth into. So yeah.
Right. Well, last week it was Soto. No, you can repair a cracked canopy with repair limpets. You cannot repair a shattered canopy. Got you. I knew I'd managed to fix something before with limpets. I knew I wasn't going mad. Anyway, last
madder
week.
Than you already are.
Yeah, well. Last week it was SOTOR and the Elder Scrolls Online's 10-year anniversary. This week it was Skyrim's. Which is ironic, because I thought Skyrim came before the Elder Scrolls Online.
I think it did. It did. Pretty sure of it. Because I remember buying.
Yeah.
I remember playing Skyrim before I bought Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah. Skyrim
But
was out before. So.
Google would tell us.
True. Well, obviously, Elite Dangerous is my go-to game for science fiction. Skyrim, I hate to say it, even though people keep on going about The Witcher 3, it's my fantasy game. Has anybody else found that? Is anybody else still playing it?
I stopped playing it after I finished the Morrowind expansion for Skyrim. And I did all the quests. I did everything in Skyrim and more. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And I think I downloaded several gigabytes worth of mods and retextures and all sorts of stuff like that. Because the original Skyrim was good textures, but you could
You can
download
get all the
mods.
high res textures and
You
everything.
can get the high res textures now, and there was a
Admit
special
it, Shan,
edition,
you're
wasn't
just
there?
playing it for the boobies.
I used to be a Skyrim player like you until I took an arrow to the knee.
Actually, there was a massive, I think, 2.3 gig download for the 10th anniversary,
Wow.
and they've patched it out.
What?
What?
Yeah,
The arrow to the knee.
they've patched the arrow to the knee out.
How could they do that?
It used to be a good game until they patched the arrow to the knee.
I'm sorry to be the
That's a
bearer of bad
travesty.
news.
How can they do that? Sorry,
Yeah.
I've been outraged at things games companies have done in the last year, but I'm afraid patching out arrow to the knee is up
I
there.
don't. Why would you
That'd be
even
like
do that?
that'd be like Frontier taking the Cobra Mark III out.
Or putting the current up for all these
Actually, what it is almost as bad as putting multiple elite ranks in. That's how much of a travesty it is.
Oh, that's got Shan's goat there, right?
You ain't wrong though.
What about the Elite 5 rankings?
Yes.
Oh, don't get us started on that. We'll be here again for another half an hour. Right. Shout outs. Obviously, Dockers, they're doing a charity Christmas special. It's going to be filthy. It's going to be dirty. It's might be funny.
It's going to be glorious.
Might be funny. It'll be childish. It'll be puerile. But if you like that kind of thing, go to justgiving.com/team/beyonddockers for the mug. For the mug. Go on. Yes, our sister station, Hutton Orbital Radio. It broadcasts on a Thursday at 8:30. You can tune in at Twitch TV, Hutton Orbital Truckers. Or if you just want the audio, go to radio.forthemug.com. For the discerning commander who likes a bit of CQC action, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous CQC. We'll give shout outs for the following Elite Dangerous podcasts. So that's Allograb AM, Black Sky Legion, the Canon podcast. Spanish speakers have the Elite Cast. There's the Fatherhood podcast. If you're missing Psykit, their latest Flight Assist has just been released. There's the Guard Frequency, who do other space sims as well. The Loose Screws, stay cheesy everyone, Squeaking Fuel, and System Chat. And for those who want a literary discussion about sci-fi and fantasy books, please subscribe to the Data Slate podcast as created by Station Commander Alan Stroud. Now, following this, we do have the latest Galnet news digest as provided by Commander Witherspoon and Commander Beetlejude. Fingers crossed the tech works. And we'll also thank to everyone who's chipped in on the Twitch chat. And Ben, how many in-game commanders have you had shooting at you?
I've been running around, but mostly largely ignoring Sorry Mac. We've sort of like been bouncing up and down at each other. But I think, Mac's been running his missions, I've been running mine. I see you did share one with me.
Yes.
And I don't know what's happening with it.
I finished it. I was hoping.
Oh, right.
I was hoping I was going to get a load of bad guys shot up and I could run them over with my SRV.
Ah.
But none showed up. I think my reputation is.
Your reputation precedes you.
Yeah, they realise it's a really bad idea to come and shoot at me because I'll just run them over. The thing is, it was a really nice, flat, wide open area, great for driving an SRV at full speed.
Yeah. Did you two wave at each other?
We've been waving.
Saluted.
Crash was here earlier, but he's since vanished. And we all waved at each other and things like that.
The thing is, I wouldn't want to wave at Mac anymore in case I got an SRV to the face.
Well, you're safe if you're in a. Well, you should be safe at least if you're in a station-based concourse.
Yes.
I don't know how safe I'd feel in a planetary-based concourse. Can you still?
Oh no, planetary-based concourses are absolutely fine. I think they've sorted the glitch issues out with the balls, even though it was quite funny.
Boo.
Boo. woo. But one thing that I did think was quite interesting is they're now going to put mission providers in, in some of the locations on these settlements.
Well,
So
okay, I've not been doing. I've been doing the pick up a box from a person or give
Yeah.
a box to a person missions tonight.
Yeah, well, those. Well, there's supposed to be. I think it's an update 9. They'll be supplying people actually in location that will give you missions like they do in the concourses. And you can just imagine that you're trying to get a mission, and some other player can come up to you and shoot you in the head.
Yeah.
So yes, it's going to be a whole new level of trolling and skullduggery. Moving on from there, we'd like to also thank Commander Tokuso, who created the music for the introduction of the show. But that is it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can email info@laveradio.com, hit us up at facebook.com/laveradio, tweet us at Lave Radio, or you can join our Discord server by going to discord.io/laveradio. We also have a TeamSpeak server where commanders like to chat, and you can find that at teamspeak.laveradio.com. Do get in touch if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode. Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 and streamed out at laveradio.com/live. So thanks to Mac, thanks to Ben, and thanks to Shan, and special thanks goes to today's tech specialist, the Chris Mark IV. But until next,
the Chris.
Should he be the Chris?
Like
Just because you're the Ben.
Yeah.
But we've got another 3 Chris's. We have to differentiate between the Chris's.
Oh yeah, but then you've got like the Chris's who don't show up, and then you've got Chris Mark IV.
Well, thanks
You
anyway,
could have the
Chris.
cross Christmas, then the
fighting
Chris
talk.
crosses.
Thanks anyway, Chris. Just please ignore these other insulting people. Right, until next time, guys.
Sorry, go for it, Colin.
Oh. No, what was that you were about to say, Ben?
I said we're being nice to Chris Mark IV.
Yes, we appreciate.
I'm just saying, Chris Mark IV. Maybe he should just be elevated up above Chris Forrester and Chris Mark III and.
You can't even remember
Chris
the other
Jarvis.
2 Chris's.
Yeah. Fozzer, Jarvis, and Chris Mark III.
Yes.
Because he's actually here.
And
Keep
with
digging,
that,
Ben.
with that, until next time, commanders, fly safe, and if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Is your life like this?
Sounds like someone having an orange inserted. Need a safe word. Space can be loaded.
I'm gonna see the galaxy.
Ah, damn it. No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Galnet News Digest, 16th of November 3307. We read the news so you don't have to.
In this week's news, Finding Theta 7.
Salvation safe as Tanner loses face.
Colonia Bridge Extension opens 25th November.
Canon appeal. The Neo-Marlinist Liberation Army, or NMLA, has been proudly bombing starports in the name of republicanism since September 3306. But things haven't been going well for them recently. They lost the support of the Neo-Marlinist Order of Madrid, they lost an election and a civil war in the Marlinist colonies, and then, at the end of July, they blew up 2 Marlinist starports. The bomb-making mastermind behind much of the chaos, known as Theta 7, the name he was given when temporarily incarcerated by the Empire, issued a press release that read as a bitter tirade. "Why are they bombing their own homes? Why would Theta 7 kill his own people? Because they are not our homes, not my people. They are prisons, not colonies, where traitors to the cause beg for scraps from those who exiled them. True Marlinists will never stop fighting until the Republic of Achenar is restored." Shortly after this, Theta 7 chose to go into hiding, saying he no longer trusted the NMLA benefactor. The message deciphered over the weekend 12th to 14th of November reveals that he went to the Panjabel system. After that, the remaining members of the Theta group blew up one more bomb before they were captured in Parisa, a move that resulted in Hadrian Duval accepting protection from the Imperial Senate and the rebranding of Nova Imperium as Nova Parisa. Theta 7 is one of the few NMLA members not currently held by the authorities. He's known to have bomb-making equipment. If he went to Parisa in July, he could have made use of the newly constructed Far God megaships. Maybe he's disguised as an acolyte, living in anonymity and a monk's habit until the time comes for him to let off another bomb. Perhaps the Far God megaships have been armed with bombs, ready to be hijacked by Theta 7. No matter how long it takes, it seems almost inevitable that Theta 7 will strike again.
Renegade Aegis Admiral Aidan Tanner is likely to have some questions to answer when he arrives back at Aegis HQ with the megaship Musashi, which this week completely failed to persuade Taurus Mining Ventures to give up the secrets of salvation. If anything, the attempt seems to have strengthened support for the mysterious scientist, despite concerns that his methods and motivations are unknown and potentially harmful to humanity. Salvation has been selling a unique plasma weapon through the technology broker aboard his megaship Bright Sentinel in Merope. But the ship is due to return to Mbuni on Thursday. He has not attempted to again use his weapon of mass destruction, which he first deployed in Cornsar in September, but the Thargoid presence in 4 locations, the Pleiades, the Witchhead Nebula, the Coalsack Nebula and the California Nebula, is increasing despite the best efforts of anti-Xeno combat pilots, so the temptation must be real. Of course, the recent Thargoid invasions may have been caused by first Aegis and then Salvation gathering large quantities of Guardian technology, and then by Salvation deploying his experimental weapon. But at any rate, Salvation seems safe from Aegis, at least for now.
The Colonia Bridge extension is scheduled to open on 25th of November. This will add a further 26 megaships to the string of escape pod-equipped stations between the Bubble and Colonia. The frameshift drives given as reward to some participating commanders should now be in store at McDonald's Settlement and Jacques Station. There have been some reports of problems adding experimental effects such as Mass Manager and Deep Charge to these drives, although Galnet Digest has not been able to confirm this. And the Saud Kruger-sponsored tourist beacons should finally be deployed later this week. They were delayed due to a problem with booking the megaship to deploy them. There now follows an appeal by Canon Research. on behalf of the Scriveners Clan Humanitarian Crisis.
Orion University claims that the Scriveners Clan is the living embodiment of the university's core values. Well, this is nonsense. If it were the case, then they wouldn't be playing chicken with the lives of the Scriveners and their unique cultural heritage. Far from being the actions of an organisation concerned with the welfare of the Scriveners Clan, this is clearly the action of an aggressor that has one goal only: to take possession of the Scriveners' heritage, the knowledge core. We, Canon Research, urge that the university stop playing with people's lives and release the lock on the dredger's propulsion systems so that the Scriveners Clan can move their ship to a location where they can gather necessary materials to maintain the vital systems of their vessel. In the meantime, the Scriveners Clan and their ship must be protected at all costs. Understandably, members of the clan do not trust us enough to open their docks. However, we would urge all independent pilots to deliver cargo and raw materials straight into the maw of the dredger, so that the Scriveners can keep their power and life support functioning. Please bring anything you can: water, fuel, raw materials. Perhaps you have an old Sidewinder taking up space in your carrier. Bring it all. The Scriveners will be able to use it. As well as providing humanitarian aid through cargo drops, we also need tugs. We ask pilots with large ships to join forces, and we will push the dredger to a more favourable orbit away from the Orion University ship. Your junk and tugging could save lives. Canon Research will not be held responsible for any fines issued for discharging cargo canisters within the no-fire zone of the Orion University megaship Scientia Aeterna.
That was an appeal by Canon Research. And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News. We read the news so you don't have to.